Feel that many people have forgotten what a phenomenon the Jackson Five, Jackie, Tito, Jermaine, Marlon, and Michael were. Bullet the Baker. I've never forgotten. I will never forget. That's why we're reading this book. Well, hello there, love bugs. Hello there, Bellas. If you have not already done so, please remember to hit the Patreon link below and or the join button here on the YouTube, and for a small monthly fee of $5, you babies, yes, you can be privy to all the shenanigans before the YouTube gets it, if the YouTube gets it. Now, let's continue talking about Latoya Jackson's Latoya. Look at my dog's googly eye. Why he just like his mama with that googly eye? He, Jackie, Tito, Jermaine, Marlon, and Michael piled in the van, drove the nearly 300 miles to Detroit, spent the night in a hotel there, then showed up the next day at Motown's original offices, Hitsfield, on West Grand Boulevard. Their audition was filmed and later shown to Barry. I suppose because they were my brothers, I didn't fully appreciate how good they were. But whenever I see the clips from that black and white audition tape, I'm astounded by their maturity and technique. You can see that the Jackson Five wasn't a kid act singing soul music, but an accomplished soul act that happened to be kids. Michael had such a commanding presence even then. Some people actually suspected he was a little person. That's not the word that she used. She used the M word, but in 2022, you don't use that M word anymore. It's little person. I know they were nervous, but my father whispered, just do it the way you always do it. When they finished singing and dancing for the camera, Michael asked cockily, how was that? And Jermaine, mindful of Joseph's orders not to say anything, put a finger to his mouth and shushed him. After being thanked for coming by, the six of them made the long drive back to Gary, unsure whether they had a deal. They didn't know that the moment Barry Gordy saw the tape, he couldn't wait to sign them. Oh my goodness, the tape. Okay, I'm going, just give me this, okay? But remember that black and white tape where Michael Jackson is like, baby, 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 baby. Even had Motown not offered them a record contract, it was my family's custom to view a setback as a learning experience. Good job. And that's what makes Joe Jackson great. In regards to keeping his children strong mentally, I'm with it. Now, Randy's so strong that he want to jump through windows. If they had been rejected, everyone would have just worked harder. My brothers and later my sisters would accomplish many great things in show business, but I don't think anything really topped that moment. Motown was the once in a lifetime break the guys had been tirelessly traveling towards all these years. Now here they stood at the end of one journey and the beginning of another. After the Jackson Five auditioned for Motown, things began happening so quickly. We barely had time to absorb it all. First, Barry Gordy invited them to perform at an exclusive party in their honor at his spectacular European-style mansion in Detroit. The audience included many of the stars whose records they studied and loved. Afterward, Diana Ross gave Jackie, Tito, Jermaine, Marlon, and Michael each a kiss on the cheek. Motown's brightest star would be leaving the Supremes for a solo career at year's end. And the label, wise in the ways of public relations, knew that linking her name with the Jackson Five would draw attention to both. When I was a child, baby, I was fooled. Okay? I thought that Diana Ross really brung us or birthed us the Jackson Five. Toya missed that in between. She probably wants to give credit to her father, which, okay, he's not a bad guy. I really don't have a problem with him. All that abuse, he can, that go over there. But we know now that it was Tommy Chong and I forget somebody else. I don't know why I keep remembering the name Tommy Chong, but it was Tommy Chong and somebody else who saw the Jacksons first and then pointed them in the direction of Motown. Like our father, Barry believed in hard work, discipline, loyalty, and the value of family. Regarding his artists, producers, and writers more as charges than as employees. But like all the other books we read, by the time the Jacksons got there, everything was in disarray. Them artists is like, where's the money? Especially since they're not on Barry's top tier list. Okay, the Jacksons is here. By early 1969, when the guys signed, however, much of the label's close-knit feeling was dying amid intergroup hostilities, financial inequities, and the personal problems that seemed to especially afflict entertainers. Yeah, that was right around the time that Diana Ross was like, look, either you're going to marry me or I'm going over here to RCA with this $20 million. Barry's secret of success was following his instincts passionately with remarkable results. He took a personal active interest in my brothers, vowing, I'm going to make you the biggest thing in the world. The first step was moving the guys to Los Angeles, where Motown was in the process of shifting its headquarters from Detroit. Remember all the Motown books we read? Barry was kind of dirty when it came down to making that move from Detroit to California, because either he pulled you with him or you fell by the wayside. Remember, Marvin Gaye wasn't too enthused about moving to Cali. Marvin Gaye was like, who the hell is Barry? Just because he moving to California don't mean I'm supposed to up and leave, but a lot of them did. I mean, and that move was so horrific because people that were good, loyal people to Barry Gordy that wrote him good music, like it was a dude that worked with Stevie Wonder, he left him behind. I mean, it was so many Motown people that died broke. The first step was moving the guys to Los Angeles, where Motown was in the process of shifting its headquarters from Detroit. They alternated between living at Barry's and Diana's Beverly Hills homes, which were practically next door to each other. I am not sure where our father stayed. Mother, so used to having us all within arm's reach, was naturally worried, asking Joseph via long distance, what are they doing? Who are they staying with? How do I know whether these people are nice or not? They're okay, he assured her. They're not into anything bad. That eased her anxiety for a while, but she was never completely calm until we were all under the same roof. Back in Indiana, we all missed the guys so much, especially me. They were my best friends. I couldn't wait for their calls and letters. The house in Gary sure seemed empty, and now Reby was gone too. For reasons I didn't fully understand then, she left home to live with a family friend. Then she wed Nathaniel Brown, a fellow Jehovah's Witness she'd known since she was 11, and moved with him to Kentucky to spread the message of our faith. Just 18, Reby initiated what was to become a family pattern of tying the knot as soon as legally possible. While I'm sure she loved Nathaniel, still her husband today after 20 years, marriage also provided the only acceptable escape from a family situation Reby could no longer tolerate. But as we'd all see, though you could leave my parents' house, you were never beyond their grasp. While my brothers were in Los Angeles, Barry and Diana became their surrogate parents. The guys never called home without telling us how wonderful they were being treated. Barry was the liberal dad they never had, telling them you can do whatever you want. You can have whatever you want. You can eat whatever you want, as long as you clean up behind yourselves. Diana monitored them with motherly concern, even tucking young Michael and Marlon into bed at night. As you might imagine, it wasn't easy for Joseph to relinquish his absolute authority. By 1969, Barry's much heralded Motown University, where earlier artists learned everything from slick choreography to table manners no longer existed. Instead, he assigned his new assistant, Suzanne DePass, an attractive brunette in her early 20s, to supervise the Jackson Five's development. This is Suzanne DePass's book. This ain't LaToya Jackson's book, okay? Because all this is absolutely the movie. Ain't shit buried yet. She seemed to spend every waking moment with them. One of her first pieces of advice was, "You guys are kids, but you are living in an adult world. I want you to understand that." I think that pretty well summed up what the guy's childhood would be for the next decade or so. In August 1969, Diana Ross officially introduced the Jackson Five at one of Beverly Hills' swankiest discos, the Daisy. Her invitation delivered via telegram read in part, "The Jackson Five, featuring sensational 8-year-old lead singer Michael Jackson." That month, Motown released the Jackson Five's label debut, "I Want You Back." "I Want You Back" rose steadily to #1 in January 1970. Soon after, our whole family was reunited. It was wonderful to have the 8 of us back together again. We first settled in a huge Hollywood Hills house across the street from Dick Van Patten. Mother worried about Hollywood's permissive attitudes towards sex and drugs. She also frowned on our socializing with white kids, an attitude I found hypocritical coming from a Christian. Besides, few Black families lived in this exclusive area. Both she and my father regarded the city and show business in general as other bad neighborhoods, full of questionable influences from which to isolate us. So, despite the drastic change in scenery, our family life resumed as it had been in Indiana and would continue to no matter what house we lived in. The beatings and the abuse became so routine, all I could do was try not to think about them. With his promise of 3 consecutive #1 singles, Berry Gordy underestimated my brother's appeal as the group notched 4 in a row. "I Want You Back," ABC, "The Love You Save," and its first ballad, "I'll Be There." Then Motown's best-selling single to date. In just 10 months, they'd sold a staggering 6 million records. I feel that many people have forgotten what a phenomenon the Jackson Five, Jackie, Tito, Jermaine, Marlon, and Michael were. Bullshit the Baker. I've never forgotten. I will never forget. That's why we're reading this book. That's why to this day, when VH1 or wherever, whoever played the American Dream Jackson 5 movie, I'll be right there watching that thing like I ain't never seen it before. So, LaToya, just know, ain't nobody forgotten about how phenomenal not just your brothers, but your family were. Your family was very important to Black history, baby. I feel that many people have forgotten what a phenomenon the Jackson Five, Jackie, Tito, Jermaine, Marlon, and Michael were. Life magazine held them as a Black teen breakthrough. And look, headlined its profile, "The hottest new group in the record world. Has to be in bed by 10. True. Because some of their songs had juvenile themes and Michael was so young, critics initially labeled them bubblegum. But had Michael been older with a deeper voice, he would have been hailed as one of the most soulful singers of the time, and the J5 in turn as rivals to the Temptations, the Four Tops, and other soul greats. I don't know about that. Well, maybe what y'all think? Like the Beatles, each Jackson was stamped with a distinct personality.